I watched something very interesting take place about 10 minutes ago, and that was that early US money woke up and just decided to move the market to the upside. And we talked about the potential of that happening might possibly just kick this trend, and we'll see if this happens as the day progresses. But right now it's about 6:31 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we're seeing the markets move. And I think the big story here is actually what Ethereum did. Ethereum actually just essentially popped out of nowhere. You guys can see the hourly candle here. I mean, this is exactly what we've been watching for and waiting for. And this is historically how we get into some of these alt seasons. And I want to talk about this with you guys. And I do want to highlight just a few other things going on with ADA that are incredibly important. So again, if you guys haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. It's been growing like crazy, and it's all because of you guys. But the big thing we've been waiting for has been this confirmation of phase 2. And remember, phase 2 is where ETH is outpacing BTC. This is what is essential for us to get to this point where these large caps like ADA and many of these other blue chip assets start moving in a more significant way. And what we've been watching is ETH basically bottom versus BTC and start to make some more aggressive moves. Now, we can see right here that ETH did a great job of bottoming and creating that inverse head and shoulders versus BTC with its head all the way back on April 22nd. And we've been monitoring this very closely. What we're watching here is seeing when ETH tries to break out of this big bull pennant that's been printing. It's been testing the bottom, testing the top. Basically, this started all the way back here on May 14th or so. And what we're seeing right now is a little bit of topside breach. Then this we need to watch very closely, because if ETH starts making some extended moves out of here, this is where alts have a chance to run. Now, this has some historic precedent. If we take a look back at the last market cycle, we can see ETH was actually doing a very similar thing, building bull pennants, multiple bull pennants, before it made a confirmed direction. All right. Now, this is where I only have just a little bit of hesitance saying that, we're about to go on a massive run or something like that. Right. And why I'm saying this is we were building a bull pennant. We breached this, several times here. We were looking good. And then, of course, we had our downside break. That was actually in December of 2019. We know that I believe BTC had some nice moves during that time, but alts kind of stalled for a moment. But we started building another bull pennant yet again as we got into the early part of 2020. And then actually we didn't even get to the end of this before we had an upside break out of this. And we know what happened. Everything just started to rally in the later part of 2020. It was a very exciting sign. And so now we fast forward here, and ETH is trying to make a similar move here again, where it's going to break out of this pennant early and cause alts to do some of these extended runs. Not saying this has to happen for sure, but you're starting to see a little bit more liveliness around the crypto market. BTC dominance right now actually just cratering, which is a really good sign. This 20-day moving average has been an important test point, but the big test again, like I talked about earlier, like I talked about yesterday, is this 50-day moving average. We may test this today, tomorrow, the next day. So really, again, I will say, watch for this test this week. This could be a huge confirmation for the crypto market. But it's not like people weren't aware that this was taking place. Why I'm saying this is what we have seen during this time, I've mentioned many times before, has been big accumulation and preparation for this, right? Over the last 48 hours, ADA whales bought 120 million ADA. Not really surprising. Some of these large holders have just been accumulating, while retail has been struggling to wrap their head around what's going on. And this is why, a lot of people, they try to beat me up here on the channel and try to say I don't know what I'm talking about. But yet, these are the exact things that we've been talking about for weeks and for months. And I've said many times before, and you guys know this, price is always the lagging metric. It's always the last thing to reflect what is happening on a fundamental level. And on a fundamental level, there have been big signs that the market has been prepping for this huge, massive breakout. And unfortunately, a little bit of the retail PTSD has held it back. A little bit of retail capitulation has held us back. But there always comes an inflection point where the market just decides to send. Now, right now, ADA's at just about 70 cents and a quarter. I'm not, saying that we're booming. I'm not saying that we're at, 86 cents like we were just a couple weeks ago. But these are some important steps in the right direction. BTC showing strength, retail confidence on the rise. This is exactly what we've been waiting for, right? Now, what I will say is very interesting. I just happened to stumble upon a pretty big coincidence here. And that is that this week is actually a week of positive flows to exchanges in terms of ADA. May not end that way. But what's interesting and significant about this is when ADA, for the most part, has had some of these exchange inflow weeks, it has either led to some extreme volatility in those weeks or weeks prior. All right. This can be traced all the way back here in the last week of February of 2025. We know what happened in the first week of March. We went on a pretty massive run. Happened here in the first week of November. This can be traced back to the summer of 2024, back in basically late March of 2024. That time it obviously caused a drop. But again, here in December of 2023, I mean, you could look at this time and time again, but this has led to some volatility in the charts. And it's a question of, is it some upside volatility? Is it some downside volatility? Luckily, right now, the fundamentals are showing us some upside volatility. Leverage is showing us some upside volatility. Ethereum making these moves, upside volatility. Again, I'm not saying this has to happen for sure, and this isn't financial advice, but definitely worth noting what is taking place right now. So great sign for the day. Hopefully this continues. Again, this video will probably come out midday, but just wanted to show that to you guys that, you know, you need to stop being emotional for the people that are still being emotional. Stop being emotional. We need to use our brains here, and we need to think, you know, are we still ahead of the curve? Are we still before the masses? Are we still here before adoption? And the answer is yes. We are here before all that, and that's what's most exciting about this. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.